What's up, guys? Blizzard Productions here, back with another video, and it is the first time that it is week 18 in the NFL, and I'm here to go ahead and pick them. So before we get started, I have a couple things to say. First of all, obviously the Damar Hamlin situation was not what you want to see at all. It was the worst series of events. It was the worst possible thing that you can see in the NFL. It was very scary to watch. Luckily, he has woke up from his cardiac arrest. He is not in critical condition that I know of right now. The tubes are out. He has gone ahead and been talking with family and friends and all that. So I am really happy that he is around with us still. I don't know if he'll continue playing football, but I do hope that he'll go ahead and continue a nice, healthy, safe life and go ahead and give all those donations of toys and all that. Have a great time going ahead and giving all those donations that people have given to him. I think it's almost at 7 million. If it's not, then it's at 7 million now. Last time I checked, it was like at 6.3 million. So if you don't know what that is, it was the Chasing M Foundation. That's what his toy thing was. In 2020, he started with the original goal of 2,500 and now has gotten over 6 million donations, including lots from like Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski and lots of different NFL stars. So with that being said, I have one more thing, which is I hope you guys really have enjoyed watching these series. I hope to continue doing these during the playoffs, and I think I will, and then I hope to do these next year. So with all that being said, let's get into the video. Starting off, we had the Browns at the Steelers, and I think this will be a pretty close game, and it will be well fought, but in the end, the Steelers will come away with the win. I believe that the Steelers are going to come away with the win because, first of all, they're going to have the home field advantage, which always, I say, gives the team the advantage. But not only that, their head coach is Mike Tomlin, and Mike Tomlin has not had a losing season in the NFL yet. So with that being said, I think they are either going to tie or they'll go ahead and have a good game and go ahead and win. So with that being said, there's those two factors, and then there's the last factor, which is the Browns aren't playing for anything. They have been eliminated from the playoffs, but the Steelers have like a very small possibility, but there is a possibility that if they win this game, they can still make it to the playoffs with a whole bunch of things playing out in their way, which happened last year. So I'm not saying that it's the end of their season. So with that being said, they're playing for something. They have a good head coach, and they have home field advantage, and that's why I think they will win. Moving on, we have the Ravens at the Bengals, and expect a playoff-type atmosphere, and I think that the Bengals are going to come away with the win. The reason why I say expect a playoff-type atmosphere is because the Bengals are doing really good, and if they win this game, they win the division, and that's what this whole thing is going to be on. Now, if the Ravens win, I believe that there will be a coin flip or something like that. I haven't really caught up with that, but that's what I have heard, is that that's how they are going to determine it, because obviously with Damar Hamlin, and I'm so glad he's doing better, like I said in the intro, but with Damar Hamlin going ahead and getting hurt and then canceling the whole game altogether and will not be made up, which is the Bills-Bengals game, which had to do with so much different playoff outcomes. It could be, I guess, based on a coin flip, who wins the division if the Bengals go ahead and lose. So with that being said, I expect a whole bunch of Bengals fans to be making sure that does not happen. They'll create a big, giant home field advantage, and it'll be an all-around playoff-type atmosphere, and I have the Bengals coming away with the win. Moving on, we had the Vikings at the Bears, and expect this to be a really good game. Even though the Bears aren't that good, I had the Vikings coming away with the win in the end, but I think it will be a very tough win for the Vikings. I think that the Vikings are not as good as a team as their record shows, but I still think that they are a good team, and I think they are better than the Bears. The Bears have just had really bad luck. Their offense is finally doing really well, but their defense, which they were known for and always having a really good defense, has not been doing well this season. That's why they've been losing games constantly. So I think with them playing at Soldier Field and this being a just pretty close game all in all. I know the record is very, very different, but if you look at both teams' sides, I feel they are pretty even as far as skill-wise. So I think it'll be a pretty close game, but in the end, I have the Vikings still coming away and pulling away with the win. Moving on, we have the Patriots at the Bills, and expect this to be a really cool game. I have the Bills coming away with the win in the end, But the reason why I'm saying expect this to be a really cool game and I'm really excited to actually watch it is because I think it will be like the biggest amount of support the Bills Mafia has ever had. I think that the Bills Mafia will create a great amount of support for their home team, the Bills, to go ahead and win. And not only that, but I expect fans that maybe aren't even Bills fans to be supporting the Bills in this game. The reason why I'm saying this is because obviously if you haven't heard this news, then where have you been? Their safety, Damar Hamlin, ended up suffering a cardiac arrest on the field against the Bengals last week on the Monday Night Football game that was supposed to be like one of the best games of the season. Obviously, it only got 10 minutes into the first quarter, and then they completely canceled the game a couple days later, but he ended up having a cardiac arrest, hitting one of the Bengals receivers, which was T. Higgins, and that was really scary to see. So with that being said, now that he has woke up, he has gone ahead and now is talking. I'm so happy. Like I was saying in the intro, I was talking about him obviously and saying I'm just so glad they ended up waking up. So with that being said, I have the Bills coming into this game very angry and having something and someone that they want to win this game for, and that is why I think they are going to win this game. Moving on, we had the Jets at the Dolphins, and expect this game to be pretty sloppy, but in the end, I have the Dolphins coming away with the win. Both teams they started off really hot and then just have gone down all the way to the bottom, rock bottom as you can get. I mean, both teams were really big playoff contenders in the first, half of this season, and then after that, they've just been losing, especially the Jets. They're already eliminated. Now, if the Dolphins win this game, they will somehow still make it into the playoffs with a 9-8 record. Now, if they lose this game, then they are out of the playoffs and they continue the 5-game losing streak that they are on right now and make it a 6-game losing streak. Not the way you wanted to see the Dolphins go this year. They were so promising, but who knows, they could play better in the playoffs if they actually win this game. And I do believe that they have the better team, even though that they're starting a rookie at QB for this game because of, if you haven't heard, Teddy Bridgewater, the backup for Tua, who's still on concussion protocol, is playing, he broke his finger and dislocated on his throwing hand. So with that being said, he's out, which means that it's a rookie who has never played in the NFL, if I remember correctly. And so with that being said, this will be his first start, and he is just a rookie, and I don't think that he will do that good. I think he'll make rookie mistakes, but who knows? He could turn out like Brock Purdy. In the end, I had the Dolphins somehow coming away with the win. Moving on, we had the Buccaneers at the Falcons, and I think it will be a pretty close game, but in the end, I had the Buccaneers coming away with the win. Both teams are already have their spot in the playoff. The Falcons aren't going to playoffs and the Bucs already are. So there's not really a deciding point in this game. But with that being said, I still have it being a pretty close game. Both teams are pretty competitive, and not only that, but the Bucs defense and offense are way better than the Falcons, I believe. But I think that the Falcons, with it being their last game of the season, I think that they will not go down in a bad way. I think that it will be a pretty close game up until the end, but I have the defense making a really good stop for the Buccaneers and coming away with the win. Moving on, we had the Panthers at the Saints. I think this will be a pretty close game, but in the end, I have the Panthers coming away with the win. Both teams are eliminated from the playoffs, but they will be playing for pride and that record going up, and I think that the Panthers will be able to pull off. Both teams are honestly not that bad. The Panthers should be worse than what they were, but, I mean, they were kind of on a roll, and they were one game off. I mean, if they beat the Buccaneers last week, then they had a big chance at winning their division and making it to the playoffs. Unfortunately, they did lose. I was kind of rooting for them because I wanted to see them instead of the Buccaneers in the playoffs, but, it's fine. Anyways, as I was saying, is that the Panthers aren't that bad of a team, but so aren't the Saints. They just had some bad luck, some bad games, and because of that, did not make it into the playoffs. I think they'll have a better year next year, but I have the Panthers coming away with the win. Moving on, we had the Texans at the Colts, and this is a big, giant who cares bowl, but I think that the Colts are going to come away with the win. The reason why I say this is the who care bowl is because these are two of the worst teams in the NFL right now. I really did think that the Colts were going to have a better season, but obviously they did not. Matt Ryan did not turn out how they were hoping they would, and as for the Texans, they were exactly what I expected. They've been the same as they've been the last 2 years, which is pretty pretty awful. Unfortunately, since Deshaun Watson has left, they really have not been a good franchise at all. I don't know if Lovie Smith, their head coach, is going to be able to keep his job. He is trying to, but I don't think he will be able to. In the end, I have this really not being a very good game, but I guess I have the Colts winning. Moving on, we have the Cardinals at my favorite team, the 49ers. This will be a really big game for the Niners, and I think they'll come away with the win. The Niners have this as a really big game, probably the biggest game of the season, because if they win this game, they are guaranteed the second seed in the playoffs, which means that they are guaranteed to have home field advantage in the playoffs. Now, if the Vikings go ahead, or not the Vikings, but the Eagles go ahead and lose and the Niners win, then they will not need to do any wild card game. They'll get to have a first round bye, and then they will be taking on another team. I don't know who right now. And then they'll have home field all throughout the playoffs, all the way to, if they make the Super Bowl, all the way to the Super Bowl. So with that being said, this is a really big game, and I think they'll be able to pull it off. Moving on, we have the Cowboys at the Commanders, and I have this really being a blowout victory for the Cowboys. I believe that the Cowboys are definitely the better team, and not only that, they're going to the playoffs, whereas the Commanders are not. I think this might be possibly Ron Rivera's last game as a head coach, and not only that, but I do know this is Dan Snyder's last game as the owner of this team before he goes ahead and sells it off, which is probably really good for the Commanders, meaning that he has not done a good job at all and has pretty much run this team down to the ground. I hope them to have better success next year, but I have this not being the most pleasant way to end their season. I have it being a blowout victory for the Cowboys. Moving on, we have the Rams at the Seahawks. The Seahawks have something to really play for. The Rams do not, and I think it'll be a blowout win for the Seahawks. The Seahawks are going to, first of all, have the humongous home field advantage that they have at their home field because of the way that the stadium's built and how good their fans are. It gets really loud, and it's a really hard environment to win in. And then not only that, but like I said, if they win this game, they go into the playoffs. So with that being said, they're playing for something, whereas the Rams were knocked out like 3 weeks ago. So with that being said, I think it won't be a close game at all, and I think that the Seahawks will come away with the win. Moving on, we have the New York Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles, and this game will be pretty good, but I have the Eagles winning in this one. The Eagles are playing for something, and I mean the Giants are too, but they've already locked a spot in the playoffs. They can't do anything worse or anything better coming away with the win or loss. Now, as for the Eagles, like I just stated when I was talking about the 49ers game, if they win this game, they will get a first round bye. They don't have to worry about the 49ers winning or losing. Now, if they lose this game, then it's going to be way bigger. So with that being said, they are playing for something. I know that the Giants might be possibly sitting Daniel Jones, their QB, and Saquon Barkley, their running back. So with that being said, I have the Eagles coming away with the win. Moving on to the Sunday night football game, we have the Chargers at the Broncos, and I think that the Chargers are going to come away with the win. I believe they are definitely the better team, and they are going to the playoffs. I think that this is probably some of the best football I have seen the Chargers play in a while, and not only that, but they're going against a team as the Broncos, and the Broncos are definitely not having the season that they are wanting to have. They were not doing what they were expected to do at the beginning of this season. They have not lived up to expectations. I believe that they could turn it around and with the new coach have a better season next season, but that's not this season, and I think that the Chargers are going to come away with the win. And for my last pick of this regular season, we have the Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers, and I have the Packers coming away with the win. I think it'll be a very, very close game, and it'll come down to the very end. And don't get me wrong, I really hope that the Lions go ahead and win, because if they win, I believe they make it to the playoffs. And I don't want to see the Packers in the playoffs again, because if they go ahead and win, they make it in the playoffs. If they lose, they are not in the playoffs. So with that being said, I think it will be a really close game, but in the end, I think the cold and the home field advantage that the Packers and their fans go ahead and give them are going to get to the Lions, and in the end, I have the Packers coming away with the win. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please remember to like and subscribe. I do have plans to go ahead and continue doing these in the playoffs, but this was obviously my last regular season one, and I think that my picks were pretty good. I will come out with what my total score was and all that in the end. I think I did probably above 500 picks, but I will go ahead and tell you guys later. So with all that being said, I really appreciate all your guys' support. I hope you guys really enjoyed this series, and I will be hopefully doing these for the playoffs, and then not only that, be doing these next year. So with all that being said, I thank you guys once again for watching this video. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the